Hello. Thank you all so much for coming out today. Everyone give it up for Sarah. That was absolutely awesome. However, I do have to say I find it personally offensive that a paleontologist wanted to talk about earthquakes. So just a bit of context. My name is Joseph Pincus, and just to get one thing out of the way, my family are the Pincuses, not the pink eyes. And that's not the reason. It's not the reason I'm wearing goggles in that photo. Now, I'm a seismic geophysicist. If you haven't heard of that job before, I don't blame you. It's actually on purpose. You see, my role is I work for the shadow government, and I'm trying to stop you all from figuring out that the Earth is flat. Now, I'm also from Queensland, which means when I told my Uncle Jim that, he 100% believed it. I'm a seismic geophysicist, but really my title should just be Earthquake Boy. If you want a boy that does earthquakes, well, I've got great news for you, because my number is 043502. Sorry. Shadow Boss doesn't want me to give it to you. But when people hear I work with earthquakes, they normally kind of ask a few questions, right? They ask, have you ever been in an earthquake? You know, did you work on that earthquake that just hit Melbourne and didn't do much? Are earthquakes caused by the shadow government drilling under my home? And it's like, come on, Jim. Yes, mate. Your house sucked, and frankly, it was an eyesore. It was like the first thing we targeted. Now, my job is basically to use earthquakes to try and map underneath Australia. When an earthquake happens, even if it's on the other side of the world, it'll create something called an earthquake wave. And then I get all excited because it's like the earthquake's flirting with me. Then I come into work and I look at how that earthquake has travelled underneath Australia, and that gives us certain information. So, it might tell us which bits are fast. It might tell us where conductive materials like copper are. It might tell us where the lizard people are. But generally, what we're looking for these days is minerals, or as geologists call them, yummy yummy in my tummy. Now, these minerals, or as I described to my shadow boss, forbidden candy, they kind of get me frisky, because they're pretty essential for our transition into new energies, stuff like wind and solar and all that kind of stuff. We want to be able to get those things out of the ground rather than like coal, oil, those kinds of things. And these minerals are often really, really deep. So by looking at earthquakes, we can map the areas where these minerals might be and then try and get them out of the ground. So let me take you through how we do that. And we're going to start with the source. Earthquakes are essentially caused by a sudden movement within the Earth. There'll be a build-up of strain or pressure somewhere, and then the Earth will suddenly shift to alleviate all that strain. And when that happens, you get these huge waves that go out. They're seismic waves. That's what we feel. Now, there's two main types. Surface waves. These waves travel on the surface. If you got that wrong, leave. Now, the first type are Raleigh waves, named after this mustachioed gentleman, the Lord Raleigh. They're also called ground roll. They're kind of similar to the waves that you might see on like the surface of the ocean or something like that. It's kind of a way to think about it. The second type are love waves. Now, not named for their creator, Richard Love, because I just made that guy up, but instead named for the fact that they're the sexiest waves. I told you they were flirty. Just joking, it was Old Walrus face, and they move like this. Still hot though. Now, the next type of waves are body waves. Rather than surface waves travelling over the surface, body waves travel through the body of the Earth. And they either come in P waves or S waves. P waves are your classic kind of slinky looking waves. They kind of, bunch up, compress. Your S waves kind of look like a snake, kind of slide along as they go forth. If you are confused about these two, if you want to figure out a mnemonic for them, it's actually a really easy way to go about it. S waves stands for snake, and P wave stands for fuck. Slinky also starts with S. Super simple. Now, these earthquake body waves travel really, really deep through the Earth. So let's look at the structure of the Earth. Now, most people will be familiar with the structure of the Earth, right? We've obviously got the crust. Ignore that. Most people will be familiar with the structure of the Earth, right? We've got the crust, famous for things like Toowoomba, cat Rats the animal. And the Nietzschean horror of existence. Cats the musical. Next, we have the mantle. Now, the mantle causes a bunch of stuff from Pompeii to the Earth's magnetic field. And then finally, we have the core. It's got this liquid outer bit and this solid inner bit, really accurately described by that one Jules Verne novel. Now, earthquakes on the other side of the world will have these waves that travel through all these parts, and we detect those waves at stations in Australia. So, how do we actually use that information and turn it into something useful? You probably understand that how fast something goes is going to be how fast it's going for how long. So let's say we have a horse. His name's Clyde. Clyde is travelling at 20 metres per second for 500 seconds. That means that Clyde has travelled 10,000 metres all the way to the glue factory. Well done, Clyde. Now, instead of Clyde travelling to the glue factory, we have hundreds of thousands of earthquakes all travelling through the Earth to Australia. We know the distance they travel, and we know how long it takes to get them there. But because we have so much data, instead of just measuring the speed that the wave actually travels, we instead measure how fast the wave travels through the Earth. So seismologists use this formula instead because we want to feel like special little scientists. Now, as I said, we know the distance g, and we know the times d, so all we do is we solve for m. And that gives us information about the Earth very, very deep within our feet. Now, solving for that m is obviously really, really easy. Everyone can do it, so I'll just blast through it. First, you have to take g transverse of g. Then take the inverse of g transpose g on both sides, which allows you to obviously get your identity matrix. With that identity matrix, though, the problem is we still do need to factor in some damping and smoothing effects. Also, we need to add in some error to kind of give an estimate of the time instead. And of course, we've only been working in 2D, so there's some azimuthal projections, or some quantum mechanical effects, because why not? And then finally, general relativity. And at this point, we lose faith in humanity. See? It's so easy and simple, guys. Look, it gets complicated real quick, but honestly, even if the original maths was like too much for you, here's all you need to know. When an earthquake happens, we can figure out how far it travels, and we can figure out how fast it travels and pinpoint the exact time and place that we destroy Jim's dumb, stupid house. And with that, we can understand what's under our very feet and get to that just deliciously Moorish lithium. Oh, it's just so good. Oh, sorry. That alarm actually means that the lizard people have heard me talking about them too much. So before the Atlanteans Harold Holt me, I may as well just give you the rest of the secrets of science. So firstly, physics, it's not real. Things just move. Secondly, Saturn, it's actually a giant bomb, and when not enough people live their dreams, it explodes. And finally, atoms, they're a myth. Thank you so much for having me. I've been Joseph Pincus. Have a wonderful rest of your time.